Welcome to the Bow Insights channel. I have 50 people in my team. Direct reports, indirect reports, contractors, 50 people I'm responsible for developing, deploying, and protecting. And last quarter, I added 5 more. They don't eat, they don't sleep, they don't need coaching calls, they never complain about the budget. And they show up at 3 a.m. without a calendar invite. They're AI agents. And managing them has taught me more about leadership than managing the 50 did. I recently graduated from the DFW IT Mentorship Program. It's a fantastic cohort that constantly provoked me to think deeper and try more innovation. For my Capstone presentation, I decided to challenge myself to cover a topic I don't normally present, on focusing less on where I've been and more on how I should lead in the near future. My capstone title was Managing the Invisible Org. Let me tell you what that means. So what's different? When you manage 50 people, trust is implicit. You've worked with them for months, years. You know who can handle a client call and who needs a second review before the draft goes out. With agents, there's no history. Every new capability is a blank slate. So I had to develop something I'd never consciously trained for: explicit trust calibration. Some tasks get full autonomy draft the first pass, go. Others get a yellow light, drafted, I'll review. And some are red, no agent touch, ever. Human only. And here's the thing, once you build that explicit framework for agents, you realize you should have had it for people too. How many of my 50 have I been over-managing because I never stopped to ask, what level of trust does this person actually warrant? The agents force me to be a better manager of the human. Green, yellow, red, 3 colors. That's the whole system. Green, full autonomy. The agent drafts, researches, analyses. I see the output when it's done. Yellow, draft and review. The agent produces. I approve before it goes anywhere. Red, no agent. Client conversations. Strategic framing. Performance conversations with my direct reports. Things that need a human signature. The discipline isn't knowing what's red, that's obvious. The discipline is knowing what's ready for green. Most leaders err on the side of yellow because it feels safer. But yellow doesn't scale. If you're reviewing every draft, you haven't delegated, you've just added a faster typist. Going green means you've built enough confidence in the system and enough safety in the organization to let the output stand without your edit. That's not a technology decision, that's a courage decision. And when you start asking that question, what's ready for green? You realize it's not just your workload that changes. There's a whole set of organizational practices that existed only because information was slow. Status sync meetings, replaced by async agent summaries available at 8 a.m. 20-minute data pools that required a human analyst, now 8 seconds with a query. Mid-level approvals that were there as checkpoints because you couldn't trust the information flowing uphill, those start to dissolve when the information is reliable and fast. I now ask my teams a question I stole from myself. What in our operating rhythm exists just because information took too long? Every time we answer it, we kill a meeting. And that's not efficiency, that's capacity. Capacity for the work that actually matters. 300,000. That's the number of customer calls my team processes with AI every day. Let me repeat that. 300,000 calls every single day. When we started this journey, people assumed the hard part was the technology. Which model, what latency, how do we handle edge cases? And those were hard. But they weren't the bottleneck. The bottleneck was convincing the business that the output was trustworthy enough to stop falling back to human review. Every executive said the same thing. I'll believe it when I see it, and then I'll want a human to double check it anyway. That's not a technology problem. That's a trust problem. And the only way to solve it is to ship, measure, and build a track record iteration by iteration. The model was never the bottleneck. The organization's willingness to trust the model that was the bottleneck. And then we did something that made people uncomfortable. We migrated off the frontier vendors, away from the big names everyone was buying to open models. People assumed it was just about cost. And while cost was certainly a factor, the true game changer was control. When you use someone else's API, you're renting their roadmap, their reliability, their latency, their definition of good enough. I wanted to own our destiny. I wanted to know when something broke at 2 a.m. that I could fix it without waiting for a vendor ticket. That required conviction because everyone else was still buying the big name solution. And when you're a director making that call, you're exposed. If it goes wrong, there's no vendor to blame. It's your name on the decision. But that's exactly what separates the person who uses AI from the person who leads with it. Leaders put their name on decisions where the data is ambiguous. That's the job. So here's what I've learned from all of this. First, technical barriers are collapsing. Every month, the models get better and the tools get easier. Anyone can spin up an LLM today. What's scarce is taste. Knowing which problem to point AI at, knowing how to tell if it's working, knowing when to overrule it. That's pattern recognition from having done it. AI can't replicate that because every time the answer is it depends. Second, the teams that adopt AI fastest. I've watched this across multiple orgs now. They're not the ones with the best engineers. They're the ones whose leaders created psychological safety to experiment. Where we tried it and learned it is valued as much as we shipped it and it worked. Where people aren't afraid to say, this agent hallucinated on me because they won't get blamed. They'll get helped. That's not a technology choice. That's a culture choice. And it starts with the leader. So let me be honest about what's changed. AI writes a competent memo, a decent strategy, a passable vision statement. The floor has risen. The baseline for good enough output is now achievable by anyone with a prompt. That's the uncomfortable truth we're all living with. If everyone can sound smart on paper, how do you tell who is actually leading? You can't tell from the output anymore. You tell from the track record. Show me the times the person made the call when the data was ambiguous. Show me the decisions they owned when they could have gone wrong. Show me the deployment that taught them something no benchmark ever could. AI can't accumulate that. Only time, deliberate practice, and the willingness to be wrong can. We started this journey as managers who simply used AI, but to truly succeed, we have to become leaders who manage AI-augmented organizations, who know that judgment, not technology, is the last scarce resource, and who have the scars to prove it. If you found these insights helpful, make sure to subscribe to Bo Insights. I share practical Gen AI insights and leadership strategies every month. Leave a comment below if you've had similar experiences managing agents. Thank you for watching.